So today we're going to have a quick look at these oval brooches that I've been making loads of, just to understand a little bit more about how they develop over time and what the different styles look like. Now what I've done here is laid them out in a loose timeline. Now I've not got every single type of brooch by any means, but I've got enough to sort of give you a rough idea. So at the beginning of the timeline we've got these little small ones. Now these exist between sort of 700 to 800. They can be quite small, between 5 and 7 centimetres. Particularly plain early on, and they get more sophisticated, more developed in their design, and a little bit bigger as time goes on towards 7-8 centimetres. The design also becomes abstract towards the end of that period. Now after that we have what's called the Birdall series of brooch. This is quite a late one, but these exist sort of in the late 700s through to the 800s, particularly the early 800s. And as you can see, these more sophisticated panels of decoration. Sometimes there are silver plates in here, and these bosses that are often animal in form. Now these ones are sort of headless little beasties, but sometimes they've still got the head present on them. This one was actually found at Cumwhitton. It's a very old one I made, so it's a bit of a mess, please ignore it. Into the 9th century, sort of continuing on from that, we have these P37s, most ubiquitous type, that goes right throughout the 9th century, and beyond in some areas. This is a P37.3, these are missing the bosses, they should be like that one. And this is a P37.12, these are missing the bosses. So these are related types, but slightly different patterns on them. As you can see, they've got this double figure of 8 sort of design on them. This, in the middle of the 9th century, a P42, again it's got that double figure of 8, but this is one of the first of the double shelled types. So continuing this idea that they're getting bigger and more sophisticated, we now have 2 pieces of copper alloy that have been fastened together with these bosses, and now silver wires running between the channels. These are some silver ones from Hedderby. I'll discuss those in a second. And then right at the very end, the sort of zenith of the oval brooch, are these P51s and P52s. Double shelled, silver wires, silver bosses, silver plated sections all over them. Really sophisticated, and then they seem to die out in the middle of the 10th century. Earlier in some places and later in some others. So with the exception of some of the early types, these are all cast, and cast from copper alloy. These ones from Hedderby are quite unique. They're the exception really that proves the rule. But underneath all the silver and the gold and everything on the other ones basically is a copper alloy shell, quite thin. They're worn in pairs, and they hold up a kind of strap dress or a peplos style dress in the very early forms. There are some general trends, so some types are particularly common in the Eastern Viking world, in Sweden and further east, and other types are more common in the Western world, so Britain and Ireland and Iceland and places like that. But as always, there's always exceptions that prove the rule. So I hope this was useful. Thanks very much for watching.